Hello, welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network, our second broadcast today, as we get ready for a Black History Month that has been really a huge success for not only the Trump administration, but for those Americans looking to make America great again. I think of people in the Black Conservative Foundation, to the late Jesse Jackson, who did so much great work in a bipartisan manner to help make HBCUs even better and opportunity zones. We're going through all of those amazing successes in the first and second term of this administration, as it's always a joy to be with you on the right side of history. I'm Robert McNeely. Feel free to support us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. There's many ways to do so, especially when you like, share, and subscribe at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. Don't miss a minute of the action with some great writers here at the network as well, diving deep into the issues at hand for today, inside and outside of the Beltway. President Trump celebrating Black History Month, advancing opportunity and prosperity for every American, with the president hosting leaders from the Black community at the White House at the top of the hour to mark Black History Month and reflect on the administration's ongoing efforts to expand economic opportunity, strengthen education, and promote justice for every American through targeted policies and broad reforms. President Trump has prioritized initiatives that deliver tangible benefits to Black families while ensuring prosperity to are accessible to every single American citizen. This is fostering a stronger nation, united by shared success for all. Here's what you need to know about the second term successes that President Trump has had thus far, awarding hundreds of millions of dollars in additional funding to strengthen educational outcomes at historically Black colleges and universities, otherwise known as HBCUs, building on longstanding commitments to enhance access to high-quality higher education for students nationwide. President Trump's historic push to pass the Save America Act will safeguard the voices of Black Americans and all Americans by preventing illegal votes from disenfranchising any citizen. The Trump accounts, a new historic savings tool made possible by President Trump's Working Families Tax Cuts Act, provides newborn Black Americans and all children with early exposure to the stock market, helping to bridge generational wealth gaps through compounded growth. President Trump's landmark Working Families Tax Cuts Act secure no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, and a long list of other major tax benefits, delivering relief to millions of eligible Black workers and families across the workforce. President Trump securing a tax-free $1,776 Warrior Dividend bonus for United States service members, including the 350,000 Black service members proudly serving our country. Now, President Trump also protecting the hard-earned benefits of the 2.4 million Black veterans in the United States by reducing the backlog of veterans waiting for VA benefits, reforming the VA loan home program to help veterans keep their homes and eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse in the system. In the first term, President Trump's policies were equally transformative. President Trump relocated the federal HBCU initiative back to the White House, ensuring it remained a key priority of his administration and elevating support for these vital institutions. Now, President Trump signing the Future Act into law, securing a historic $255 million in annual funding for HBCUs and increasing funding for Pell Grants to make college more affordable for low-income students from all backgrounds. And President Trump also authorizing more than $100 million in scholarships, research, and centers of excellence at HBCU land-grant institutions, fostering innovation and academic excellence. President Trump also granting full forgiveness of $322 million in hurricane-related disaster relief loans to 4 HBCUs, allowing them to focus fully on educating their students without the burden of debt. President Trump lifting restrictions that barred HBCUs with religious affiliations from accessing federal funding for capital projects and expanding those opportunities for faith-based education. President Trump's America First agenda drove record low unemployment employment for Black Americans, with over 350,000 lifting themselves out of poverty through booming manufacturing and smarter trade policies that benefited workers nationwide. President Trump also creating opportunity zones and a game-changing initiative that attracted $75 billion in new private investment in economically distressed communities, creating $11 billion in new wealth for minority programs and neighborhoods, revitalizing areas long overlooked. President Trump also signing the First Step Act into law, enacting historic criminal justice reforms to make the system fairer, reduce recidivism, and provide second chances for individuals re-entering society, impacting families in countless communities across the nation. And many Republican and Democrat, the living predecessors of this president, ignoring these issues on such a grand scale. As we celebrate Black History Month amid America's 250th birthday and anniversary, President Trump recommits to policies that lift up all Americans and secure the American dream for generations to come. As the President of the United States will participate in a Black History Month reception at the top of the hour there at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. If you joined our first broadcast, the White House superstar Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt holding that briefing, covering a number of topics on the economy too. Also, are we alone in the universe? That age-old question, with aliens becoming more and more of a prevalent talking point, whether in written or broadcast media. Also to what's happening in this election in the midterms 2026. We'll be in Rome, Georgia tomorrow for your unbridled access to your 45th and 47th President of the United States as he covers a special election to be held March 10th. Early voting underway in Northwest Georgia, the 14th Congressional District. 18 candidates there in that race. Of course, Georgia has a runoff election mode. So if you reach that second place and the top vote getter does not hit that 50% threshold, that will move to then a runoff and one-on-one for Republican and Democrat primaries. So in all likelihood, with 18 people running in the race, more than likely that someone will not reach that 50% threshold. Could they? Of course they could. It's not impossible, but very improbable given the amount of people running to make America great again from the Congress. So we'll watch all of that for you as we break down the latest inside and outside of the Beltway. And with that as well, we are greatly fortunate to have some amazing sponsors here on the right side of history, especially this new Rumble wallet, wallet.rumble.com. Free speech was under attack not only a few years ago, but it currently is now with where you spend your money, where you donate. So now you can have every single tip, donation, whether it be in Bitcoin, in gold, protected by the Rumble wallet. And I'll break down what that means for you as a voter and citizen in this great country. But go ahead right now, scan that QR code now, available in Google Play or the App Store, the Rumble wallet. Step away from the big banks and all of that nonsense and go to wallet.rumble.com. There you can protect yourself from, again, the big banks, the censorship that exists. Rumble is the only company that has stood the test of time defending free speech in its entirety on these online outlets. And with one side, Rumble challenging the status quo with big tech censorship, but now the other side, they've introduced something that will give you true financial freedom with this wallet so that the big banks can't shut you off completely. Banks can cancel accounts, they can freeze cards literally at any time, especially in this tech world that we live in. So that's why they launched Rumble Wallet, a wallet that no one can cancel and a wallet that supporters can use instantly to tip great institutions like us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network and also your favorite content streamers online. It literally takes the middleman out of the process. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it. It's yours, only yours, for your future, for your family, and how you see it going. You can buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin, even Tether Gold, all in one place. And this is real gold on the blockchain. Ownership of physical gold bars, all powered by wallet.rumble.com. It's not only a wallet to buy and save, but it's a wallet, again, that you can tip to your favorite content creators to protect that First Amendment right. So don't waste any more time and get rid of the big bank overlords that can watch over you and cancel you out of nowhere. Download Rumble Wallet. You're steps away from doing just that at wallet.rumble.com. Thank you for sponsoring us on the right side of history, as well as mypillow.com/RSBN, the mattress and topper sale for as low as $99.99 with promo code RSBN. Easy to remember. Free shipping as well. Call today. Do not delay. It is 800-836-7566. Support Mike Lindell and Right Side Broadcasting Network by shopping for over 2,000 products at mypillow.com/RSBN. Code RSBN now. We love Mike Lindell. He's running for governor of Minnesota. And right there in that fine state, he has his manufacturing facilities where they make everything in America. Again, over 2,000 products, the My Slippers, the My Coffee, My Pillow 1.0, 2.0, the My Giza Dream Sheets. So many amazing products to make your night a little bit more restful and your day a bit brighter to get that started, especially with the My Coffee. But the mattress and topper sale going off the charts right now, as low as $99.99 plus free shipping on your entire order. mypillow.com/RSBN. Thank you for supporting us on the right side of history. As we will take a quick commercial break for more sponsorships, but at the top of the hour, the President of the United States meeting with a group for Black History Month reception and those freedom fighters that have done so much good for this country, especially HBCUs and those opportunity zones to make America truly the land of the free and a nation for all. Now 250 years as we approach that wonderful anniversary. So don't change that dial. You're on the right side of history. We'll be back with you in a moment.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, My Pillow mattresses and My Pillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
And welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network as the president participates in a Black History Month reception. We have all that ready to go for you as the president has celebrated this with results. Some people do talk about it, but it's worth re-emphasizing why he has done more for Black America than any modern president, especially his predecessors who talked a big game, both Republican and Democrats. But this man actually did something, even in his private life, celebrating his friendship with the late Jesse Jackson. In the 1980s, President Trump really opening that door and access to countless people who we did not have those opportunities in New York City, especially in the real estate world. And in turn, in the 1990s, Palm Beach was once a very Dixiecrat town. Many of the clubs did not allow blacks nor Jews to be members of their clubs. Guess who was one of the first to open up that Mar-a-Lago club? Donald John Trump. So you have, at times, from some of my colleagues, rather interesting questions during the press briefing today, and the press secretary chuckling, rightfully so, and she'll be able to provide that list of the times the media and left-wing outlets have called this president racist. It's rather disgusting that these launched attacks have been thrown his direction, but it's because when you do have results, when you're actually working on behalf of the American people, it might irritate some of the power brokers in Washington, D.C., the deep state and the bureaucratic state. But President Trump advancing the opportunity and prosperity for every American, especially Black America, as he hosts leaders from the Black community at the White House to mark Black History Month and reflect on the administration's ongoing efforts to expand that economic opportunity and promote justice for every single American. Through targeted policies and broad reforms, President Trump has prioritized initiatives that deliver tangible benefits to Black families while ensuring that prosperity is accessible to every single American family and citizen, fostering a stronger nation united by a shared success for all. And part of that has to do with the Save America Act, and passing that, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, all voters of all different backgrounds and demographics committed to this. And we had the opportunity to speak on this issue amongst other issues with Jim Paff, the president of the Conservative Caucus, who really knows a lot on Capitol Hill. He's been a chief of staff. He's worked policy. He gets down deep in the weeds and showcases why certain things get done in Washington and why other things just don't sometimes. And it could be sometimes glazed over by a mainstream media that either doesn't ask the questions or simply does not know how to get to the bottom of what leadership is doing, both on the right and the left. As we have a situation right now, day 5 of a government shutdown, again, led by Democrats, Congress out of session this week, but that Save America Act, President Trump wants on his desk, and Senator Thune finding the way to preserve the rules of the Senate while getting this House-passed package to the president's desk. We had a moment today to check in with Jim Paff to highlight that amongst other issues. Welcome back to RSBN. Jim Paff, our dear friend and someone who knows so much on countless issues on Capitol Hill and inside the Beltway as president of the Conservative Caucus. Jim, what can we get here with the economy? We saw that from Caroline Leavitt's press briefing there, that we really do have a strong economy, but we have a lot of naysayers out there. What say you about the rest of the year as we go in a quarterly fashion, hoping to make America wealthy again?
Well, I just think that Republicans need to do a good job of precisely talking about what has been done, how it relates to the legislation that they passed, how the big, beautiful bill relates to it, and so forth. Typically, Republicans really stink at putting these messages out properly, understanding what the real significance of what government does is, in part because they're bought into the government doing certain things. You know, the way an economy works well is when the government stays out of the way, typically. I mean, it has its ups and downs. There's always ups and downs in economy. Nothing is ever perfect in any economic situation. You have the ebbs and flows of things that happen. But in a true free market economy, those ebbs and flows are about the typical correction, positive correction of what's happening, what's taking place, and causing bad actors to be weeded out, good actors to do better. We just need an economy that says if you make good decisions, you're going to reap all those benefits. If you make bad decisions, you're also subject to all the negative outcomes of that, and therefore it's going to be in your best interest to make good decisions. So Congress needs to talk about that. Republicans need to stop believing that they need to jigger with the economy. Donald Trump's message on the Fed is really good. But the last thing that I'll say is this. The economy is a very important issue. It's a key issue right now. But polls that I've seen are very interesting because it usually dominates the milieu of what what Americans are thinking about. It's not dominating it like it usually does, particularly in younger groups. They want government to stop being destructive. The reason Elon Musk was so popular, in part, with Donald Trump supporters was because the younger ones saw what Elon saw, which is take out the worst aspects of government. Not only get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, get rid of useless agencies. So Donald Trump needs to continue down that path. His administration has actually done a pretty darn good job. The job numbers show that there are far less government employees than at any time in American history since 1966. So that's really good news. Now get rid of the agencies. And the Republican Congress needs to do the same thing. If they will pass legislation to do that, if they'll pass the SAVE Act, I think that they can have a much better shot at keeping the House and the Senate in 2026. Three things: economy, talk about it, immigration, and election reform. Economy slash reductions in government, and getting rid of government power. Then immigration and the SAVE Act. If they can do those things, they can win.
Seems like a winning formula. And to that Save America Act, do you think that Senator John Thune will get away from that filibuster for a simple majority to get that on President Trump's desk?
Well, I heard John Fredericks mention in the press conference, why don't you get rid of it? I'm with Mike Lee on this. You don't have to get rid of the filibuster. I've been talking about this for weeks now. And of course, Mike Lee for much longer and effectively. Everyone should take a look at the Federalist today and Rachel Bovard's piece responding to Kimberly Strassel of the Wall Street Journal, who said, if you're going to do the talking filibuster, it's the worst thing in the world. I think it's the most healthy thing for Congress. Listen, we want to not get rid of the filibuster, in my opinion, in the Senate. But what we want to do is get rid of what Mike Lee has rightly called the zombie filibuster. This thing where, a bill can get held up without anyone having to pay any price for it and all other legislation go around it. I think we need to go back to the real filibuster, which requires all members of the Senate to have, or any member of the Senate that wants to hold up a bill, to have to stay on the floor and talk about it. And what's really interesting about that is most of these men and women are very old. I remember a story, a former member of Congress I was working for, saying that the Senate was going to have their retreat at the Heritage Foundation, and they chartered a bus to send them over there. Well, anyone that knows Washington, D.C. knows that the Hart Office building isn't even 4 blocks away from Heritage Foundation. But no, they're going to have but they're old people. Make them have to pay the price if they want to shut it down, and make them have to argue for why they want to have illegals registered to vote in this country. They need to have those arguments. So anyway, Rachel Bovard's piece, look at what Mike Lee's saying. That's the way we do it. It's very simple, and John Thune can do this easily. The strategy is very straightforward, and it'll expose Democrats for who they are.
And with the talking filibuster, with the zombie filibuster, as you mentioned, can you break those down further for the viewers and how the filibuster really evolved over time? Really, in many ways, a Democrat tool in the past, but then you had people like Joe Biden, who was for busing once Kamala Harris stood up to him and literally impolitely calling him a racist as a result, but then getting on the same ticket as him. That's kind of an unbelievable aspect of the last presidential election from 2020. But explain the filibuster, how it's evolved over time and why it's still crucial to keep in the Senate.
Sure. Well, the filibuster is actually a mistake. In 1806, Aaron Burr was president of the Senate while he was Thomas Jefferson's vice president. And they wanted to fine tune some of the rules, clean up some redundancies, and they ended up getting rid of what's called the motion to recommit, which essentially says, okay, let's go out of debate and let's get back on to voting on the bill and any debate related to the final vote and to get on that final vote track. That still exists in the House. It's why the House doesn't have the same problem at all. It was a mistake. It wasn't really taken advantage of until the 1820s or 30s. You saw it show up many times, particularly in the early part of the 20th century. But one of the interesting aspects of it that also led to the current 60 vote rule in the 1840s or the 1940s, excuse me, the Senate passed a rule, I think it's Rule 20, that requires a 60 vote, that you could get out of a filibuster with 60 votes, 66 votes at the time, actually, because it was 2/3. And that was for the purpose of saying, if you're going to hold up a bill, let's just, if a strong majority of senators want to get out of that and get on to the vote, then they can do it. So the 60 vote threshold, which it went from 66, went from 2/3 to 3/5 later in the century, that is not the filibuster. That's a way to get out of a filibuster. But what the filibuster always was make people stand up. They had to talk till they dropped. Mr. Smith goes to Washington. That's kind of roughly represents the price that you have to pay if you want to hold up a bill. In 1964, and Rachel Bovard's piece is really fascinating on this at the Federalist. In 1964, Mike Mansfield, the then Democrat leader of the Senate, were trying to pass the Civil Rights Act. They went ahead and put it on the floor. The filibuster ensued from Southern Democrats and a few Republicans, but mostly the Southern Democrats, who refused to move the bill forward. It caused a ruckus in the Senate, and it eventually led to a vote to get rid of a cloture vote to get rid of the filibuster, move the Civil Rights Act forward. That's all that needs to happen right now. By the way, the Civil Rights Act had provisions regulating elections. FYI, let's just keep that in mind. Congress has the ability to regulate elections. So anyway, it's a simple procedure. It's a tough procedure. It makes people have to talk and work. And this is why Democrats and Republicans alike have abandoned it. Now, the zombie filibuster, you asked about that. The zombie filibuster actually came out of Mike Mansfield's tenure as well, too. To move vote, there used to be that if any bill was filibustered, no other legislation could move forward. And that was one of the big frustrations with the filibuster. So that you couldn't get anything else on the floor until you could get past the bill that was put on the floor. And these filibusters, the reason they were so frustrating is they would show up unknown. Someone would hold back their intention to filibuster a bill, and then it would get put on the floor and all work got backed up. And that's still at risk right now by doing this current filibuster. But what happens is when you force these people to have to deal with it instead of pulling the bill off the floor, then it makes them work. And so the zombie filibuster said, okay, if they're going to filibuster a bill, we're going to pass a rule that will allow other legislation to move around it. And that's why we're in the zombie filibuster, because now just the threat of a filibuster requires the majority leader to come to the floor and give unanimous consent, on the bill so that it won't come to a vote. And that's an agreement with the minority. So John Thune needs to disagree with making that agreement. In fact, only the majority leader, according to the rules, can make such a motion, put it on the floor, make the Democrats have to work for it. Make them have to show what they really think about this. And that will, I think that it'll reveal a whole lot. And frankly, it'll save the country because we can deal with a lot of political issues. We cannot deal with bad elections. We can't. We can't survive as a country with it. And we've got really bad elections right now, whether it's direct fraud, which is probably the smallest part of it. I still can't prove all that. But just what we do with elections, where we allow non-citizens to vote, or at least no requirement or legal criminal prosecution if those illegals are allowed to vote, the requirements for voter ID, and these outrageous direct mail schemes that we have, which really take away the custody issue, which is so critical to our elections. So anyway, that's why I think they need to do it. They can do it. They just have to be willing to fight, Republicans, and they'll save the country if they will, or at least they'll take us far down that path.
Oh, no question about it, Jim. Thank you for the context, because so many voters support that Republican, Democrat, Independent, across all demographics across the country, voter ID and fair and free elections. A House divided cannot stand, as we've been reminded in countless times in history, especially in the middle of the 19th century. Went to a civil war as a result. And that test of elections coming up very soon as President Trump visits Rome, Georgia, the 14th congressional district. That was the seat of Marjorie Taylor Greene. 18 people in this special election, and in turn wanting to move to the fall after the March 10th special election to make it there. What do you think might happen in the northwest part of the state, where steel and manufacturing are very crucial to not only the Peach State, but American sovereignty?
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of up in the air. I think Brian Kemp has tried to pressure this a little quicker than was absolutely necessary. Brian Kemp is no friend of the president, no friend of the MAGA agenda, and it's going to bring some challenges. But I think I think this thing is going to be really a test of where the MAGA movement is right now and what they want to happen. Clay Fuller, who he has endorsed, that Donald Trump has endorsed. I don't know. I'm hopeful that he can be pretty good. I happen to have had some acquaintance with Colton Moore, who's been a fantastic advocate for the Trump agenda, frankly, and has pushed back against and revealed a lot of the election irregularities that have taken place, including taking on Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger. And it is amazing how Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger have acted like Democrats when it comes to our elections. I mean, it's kind of an outrage. I would love to see Colton become the member there, but Donald Trump has endorsed against him. This again, it's going to be a real test of where the MAGA movement is right now after Marjorie Taylor Greene, who seemed like such a strong MAGA supporter, really went off the reservation. And frankly, she's a good example of what happens when you stay in Washington, D.C. too long. And too long is longer for some people and not so long for others. It turns out Marjorie Taylor Greene had a shorter window. She started to listen to people there in Washington. And I just think she sided with Kevin McCarthy too much. It's really sad when you see people those of us who want our government to get back on track, go back to its constitutional limits, and stop taking advantage of the people. It's really sad when you send folks up there you think you're going to have confidence in, really go away from it. My standards are very, very high. This is why I think Colton Moore would be fantastic. Clay may end up being really good, but I have seen too many members of Congress who we thought were going to be heroes turn out to be duds, turn out to be unwilling, like Mike Lee, in this issue with the standing filibuster, to really take a risk to say, no, we've got to think about this a different way, to talk about it and press it hard. We need a lot more people like that, and we don't have enough of them. So I think that's always what's at stake in every congressional election, but particularly this one, where we could get back a good MAGA person that will do the right thing and not play around with leadership.
Jim Paff, president of the Conservative Caucus, thank you for your perspective and diving deep. And perhaps there is no better person, no better voice in America, because you have seen behind the so-called curtain that has been opened up wide thanks to the MAGA movement and President Trump. Jim, we're very grateful for your work, and we look forward to seeing you soon again on the right side of history.
Thanks, Robert. Good to talk to you.
And as we await President Trump to participate in a Black History Month reception, we go through the successes of this second term. President Trump awarded hundreds of millions of dollars in additional funding to strengthen educational outcomes at historical HBCUs, the historically Black colleges and universities, building on long-standing commitments to enhance access to quality higher education for students nationwide. President Trump's historic push to pass the Save America Act will safeguard the voices of Black Americans and all Americans by preventing illegal votes from disenfranchising any citizen. Now, the Trump accounts as well, trumpaccounts.gov, the new historic savings tool made possible by President Trump's Working Families Tax Cuts Act, provides newborn Black Americans and all children with early exposure to bridge the generational wealth gaps and a leg up in the stock market through compounded growth. President Trump's landmark Working Families Tax Cut Act secured the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, and a long list of other major tax benefits, delivering relief to millions of eligible Black workers and families across the workforce. Now, President Trump securing a tax-free $1,776 Warrior Dividend bonus for United States service members, including the 350,000 Black service members proudly serving our country, and President Trump protecting the hard-earned benefits of the 2.4 million Black veterans in the United States by reducing the backlog of veterans waiting for VA benefits, reforming the VA loan home program to help veterans keep their homes, and eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse in the system. And in the first term, President Trump's policies were equally transformative just a few short years ago. President Trump relocated the federal HBCU initiative back to the White House, ensuring it remained a key priority of his administration and elevating support of these vital institutions. President Trump also signing the Future Act into law, securing a historic $255 million in annual funding for HBCUs and increasing funding for Pell Grants to make college more affordable for low-income students from all backgrounds. Now, President Trump authorized more than $100 million in scholarships, research, and centers of excellence at HBCU land-grant institutions, fostering innovation, academic excellence, and President Trump granting full forgiveness of $322 million in hurricane-related disaster relief loans to 4 HBCUs, allowing them to focus fully on educating their students without the burden of debt. Also, President Trump lifting those restrictions that barred HBCUs with religious affiliations from accessing federal funding for capital projects, expanding opportunities for faith-based education. President Trump's America First agenda drove record low unemployment for Black Americans, with over 350,000 lifting themselves out of poverty through the booming manufacturing and smarter trade policies that benefited workers nationwide. And President Trump creating Opportunity Zones, a game-changing initiative that attracted $75 billion in new private investment into economically distressed communities, creating $11 billion in new wealth for minority neighborhoods, and revitalizing the long overlooked areas of our country. And this all being championed by Senator Tim Scott, as well as former Secretary Ben Carson, and now Secretary Scott Turner in Housing and Urban Development. President Trump signing the First Step Act into law, enacting historic criminal justice reforms to make the system fairer, reduce recidivism, and provide second chances for individuals re-entering society, so impacting families and communities truly across the country for the better. As we celebrate Black History Month Amid America's 250th anniversary, President Trump standing very strong, committed to the policies that lift up all Americans for the American dream, securing that for generations to come. Of course, you can find the Trump accounts at trumpaccounts.gov, and that being a wonderful public and private partnership with the Dell Corporation, Michael and Susan Dell, very generous donors to kickstart that will work somewhat like an IRA for those born last year through the entirety of this second term while President Trump is in office. And for your children 10 and under, they can also benefit from this as well, with parents and employers that can help match donations and also investments into the trumpaccounts.gov, one of the many programs that is making America wealthy again, and again, giving people a leg up, somewhat like years past when we had those initiatives through the government and bonds specifically. But now we have trumpaccounts.gov, which is going to change the entire ballgame. Think about this. If you do not touch this by the time you reach the college age of 18, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars in your account over the course of when you're 60 years from now. You're looking at 2.2 million or more in those accounts. So I'm sure President Trump, to highlight some of that today as he participates in a Black History Month reception. We'll toss it there now to the East Room at the White House and the President of the United States.
This is a nice full room. You know, we have a ballroom being built right now. So in about a year and a half, we'll be able to have about, I'd say 10 times the number. We can invite some friends that couldn't make it today because, frankly, this was a sold-out crowd. Has been ever since I've been president. Every year it's been sold out. So a lot of great friends. Here's your knockout panel, okay, for those that are interested. See that curtain? You open that curtain, and it's a beautiful funnel right into the most beautiful ballroom. It's being built right now. So it's pretty, and they wanted it for 150 years. We're getting it done a lot. We're getting a lot of other things done, too. Well, I want to thank you all and welcome you to the White House on this very special occasion. It is indeed. I've been at every one of them, and we celebrate the 100th anniversary of Black History Month. That's a big deal. 100th. Wow, that's sort of special, the 100th. That's about as, like 150 is good, but 200 is better, right? 100 is better. I want to begin by expressing our sadness at the passing of a person who I knew very well. Jesse was a piece of work, I want to tell you. He was a piece of work, but he was a good man. He was a real hero, and I just want to pay my highest respects to Reverend Jesse Jackson. He's a good man. He was actually, as you got to know him, he got better and better all the time. A lot of people, you get to know him, they get worse and worse. Jesse got better and better. But I knew him well long before becoming president, and he really was special with lots of personality, grit, and street smarts. You would say Jesse had serious street smarts, right? A very important ingredient to life, I will tell you. He was gregarious and someone who truly loved people and a force of nature. He was somebody that we're going to greatly miss. And on behalf of everyone here today, I know you join me in sending our condolences to the entire family. Got a great family. We're also honored to be joined this afternoon by many exceptional African-American leaders and patriots, including Secretary Scott Turner, recommended. Where is Scott? Where is Scott? Will you come up here, Scott? He was recommended by somebody who's very special to me, Ben Carson. Ben Carson. Where's Ben? Where's Ben? Come on up here, Ben. Come here. I got to get here. And his wonderful wife, Candy. Candy, I'm going to steal Ben for a second because, you know, Ben recommended Scott. And when Ben recommends somebody, I just do it. Did I make a good decision? Be careful. Don't fall, Ben. If you fall, that's the end. You can never recover from a fall. You know, you can make the greatest speech ever, but if you fall, my predecessor taught me that. So is Scott doing a good job, Ben?
He's doing the best job ever.
Come on, say that. I like that.
You know, one of the reasons I was so high on Scott Turner is he was really the driving force behind the opportunity zones, which doesn't get nearly the attention that it should, but it was because President Trump realized that the best way to get things done is through public-private partnerships and have everybody with skin in the game. And it is working, as are all the other things that he's been recommending. And at some point, the mainstream media will recognize that you don't politicize everything. You open your eyes and your ears, and you look and you see what works, and you deal with that. But the best thing about Scott, he's got a lot of energy. You know, I'm an old man now. I'll be 75 on my next birthday. And I'm not like President Trump. He just goes forever. But no one else is like that. But Scott Turner, we call him the Energizer Bunny, and he is doing a fantastic job. And I want to congratulate all the people at HUD because most of them have come back and continued with what we were doing during the first Trump term, and it's fantastic.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Well, just very briefly, thank you, Mr. President. We are so grateful for your leadership and for your heart for America. And Dr. Carson, who is a tremendous just leader, servant leader, and been a great mentor to me. And, you know, I never thought that I would see today where I'm standing between the president and Dr. Ben Carson. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And so I just want to say to everyone that's here, you know, as we celebrate this special day in not only Black history, but American history, this year that we've been here, you know, under President Trump, the Lord has been so gracious to us, and he's been faithful, and the president has been a tremendous leader in his work ethic, his heart for people. And when he says America first, he really does mean America first. Yeah. And so, and to be able to stand on the shoulders of Dr. Ben Carson and for the president to trust Dr. Carson at his word is truly humbling for me. And so to stand now as the servant leader and the secretary of HUD, I'm grateful to the Lord. I'm grateful to the president and Dr. Carson. And I promise you we will continue to do good work and to make not just housing affordable and everybody achieve the American dream, but really to bring transformation. And so that those that are in our country who depend on subsidies and this, that, and the other will get off of that and live a life of self-sustainability. So God bless y'all.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you. And Ben mentioned opportunity zones. We did that, and I want to thank Tim Scott because that was his baby. That was his baby, and he did a great job with it. We appreciate it. And again, Candy, thank you very much for being here. Special woman. Ben's getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the biggest, it's the highest award you can have outside of the Congressional Medal of Honor. But it's better because, you know, a lot of people get the Congressional Medal of Honor. They're not around. You get them, they're not around. Whereas we don't have to go that far, generally speaking. But it's the highest award, civilian. And then you have the matching is the Congressional Medal of Honor, both tremendous. So, Ben, I'll be seeing you back here pretty soon, I think, and you're going to get the award. You'll probably fill up this room. I said, we'll do it in the Oval Office. He said, sir, it's not big enough. I said, what? So we're going to do it right here, okay? And we love it. I'd like to also thank senior counsel to the Assistant Attorney General. He's a fantastic man. He's been my friend for a long time, Leo Terrell. There's no better. We have time, right? Do we have time? Yes? Anybody have to go? Like, come on up here, Leo. Get up here. This guy, he says it like it is. I like Leo. Come here, Leo. Look at you, spry. 2.0. Leo 2.0.
Let me just thank you very much, Mr. President. First of all, we are living under the administration of the greatest president in our lifetime. And we have the hottest country in our lifetime. And I want to make sure the mainstream media knows this, because you represent the people who basically counter what the mainstream media has done. President Trump was the president who fully funded historically black colleges and universities. President Trump took the lead and performed criminal justice reform. President Trump made sure that we had opportunity zones. Let me close by saying this. This country is at a crossroads, and we have the right president at the right time. And if you want school choice, like I know you do, President Trump wants it. If you want a law and order society and secure border, President Trump wants that. And more importantly, I say this because this is the greatest country on the planet. American citizens should decide American elections. Vote for the SAVE Act.
Thank you. Leo 2.0. We love Leo. Thank you, Leo. That was very good. Yeah, 4 more years. Anyway, so he's a special guy. I watched him on Sean Hannity a long time ago. He used to be a Democrat, you know. Leo was a Democrat. That's a long time ago, right? Can you imagine you were a Democrat? I can't imagine it. You'd see him with Leo 2.0 up in the hat. We love him. He's a great man, actually. General Counsel for the Department of War, Earl Matthews. That's a big deal. Thank you, Earl. Thank you very much. I see Johnny over there with a great book. How is the book doing? Good? What a great person you are. Great book. White House Pardon Czar. This is a big job. This is a big job. Alice Johnson. Alice? Where's Alice? What a sweetheart. I met Alice, and she was incarcerated for what some people would say today is not even a fine, right, Alice? It's not even a fine. And I said, how long has she been in jail? 22 years. I said, 22 years. And right, Alice? And come on up here, Alice. Come on up. I said, 22 years, and she was on a phone call. This was over a phone call. I know about fake phone calls too, Alice, you know, remember? They tried to get me in a fake phone call. But Alice was in jail for like 22 years. I said, how many years does she have left? 28. I said, 28 years left. And I said it, and I mean, she admitted she made a little mistake, but it was not the kind of a mistake that you serve 50 years in jail for. Like maybe a couple of months, maybe less than that. And I said, this is the most unfair. And then when I met her, I fell in love. My wife was very upset with it. Our great First Lady did not like that, Scott. She didn't like it, but Alice is great. And say a couple of words. It was so ridiculous. 22 years, she had 28 left. And I said, let's get her the hell out. And we got her out. We did a commute. And then when I got to know her, she was so high quality, I said, full pardon. So she's cleaner than anybody in this room, even than my friend right here. She's cleaner. Because of that, she's cleaner than anybody in this room.
Thank you, Mr. President. The feeling was mutual. I fell in love with this man, with his heart for this country, with his heart to really bring America back to the form of greatness that it deserved. And that's exactly what he has done. My story is truly a Joseph story. This president right here, President Donald Trump, brought me from the prison pit to the White House. Only in America could there be a story like my story. And President Trump is the only president who would have had the courage to bring someone like me, someone who received a second chance, but who knows more than someone who has sit among the captives, than someone who has been in captivity themselves. I did not get comfortable in my own freedom, but I went back. As Harriet Tubman said she did, she went back to draw many others into freedom. And President Trump has listened to those recommendations. There's so much more to come, because when you see me, you see a miracle. You see hope. You see second chances. And you see someone who is willing to roll up their sleeves and do the work, do the hard work to help individuals gain their freedom. President Trump did something historic in his first term. He signed the First Step Act into law. And for that, over 40,000, and that number is low, over 40,000 individuals have come home to their families early. And you know, many of those were Black Americans who had no hope. This president right here, as you look out upon this sea of Black Americans, this president hears you. This president cares for you. Don't let anyone tell you that this president right here, Donald Trump, is not for Black America, because he is. I'm standing here today as a testament to how he feels about Black Americans. There has never been a position like this. I don't know if there ever will be before, but I worked with him in his first term, and I'm proud to now officially have the title to make it happen. Let's get real with the realness. Let's get behind President Trump, who truly has turned our nation around and made us the envy of every country in the world. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, God, for recognizing and raising up this man to be the leader of the free world. I love you.
Great woman. You know, when I was looking for a pardon person, like a pardon czar, they gave me somebody from Harvard, somebody from Yale, somebody from Princeton, somebody from Penn, somebody from Stanford. And I said, do you know anything about it? Well, we can learn. You know, they can learn. And when I met Alice, I said, she's better than these people. And she's done a fantastic job. You know, I said to Alice, I said, so I'm looking for people like you to let out. How many people are there like you? She said, many. I said, many in jail? Think of it, 22 years she was in jail, and she had 28 years to go on a phone call. You admit you did a little something wrong, right? But it was like, okay, it wasn't 50 years. Even if you said 6 months, today it would be probably nothing. But even if you said some little time, but I said, I'm looking for other people like you. How many are there? Many. Then I was worried, I said, well, maybe she's going to say everybody should be let out. We're not a believer in that. I said, so Alice, are there people that shouldn't be? You met a lot of people, right? Are there people that shouldn't be let out? Absolutely. Then I felt better. Because there's some bad ones in there too, right? But you are fantastic, and you've been great and so respected all over the country, all over the world, in a sense. You've become a very big story. Thank you very much, Alice. I appreciate it. And we have Lynn Patton. Lynn, thank you. You've been such a help. And Kelly Mitchell, thank you, Kelly. Thank you. Where's Kelly? Thank you, Kelly. And we have Dr. Alveda King. Thank you, darling. Thank you. You've been with me from day one, right? From day one, she's been there. She's been fighting for me, and I fight for her. I don't have to do too much fighting for her. She takes care of herself. Thank you. Thank you. We can say Merry Christmas is right. Thank you. Thank you for all that support for years, right? Even before Alice, a long time, years before Alice, right? Thank you, darling. Corinne Rankin, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Corinne. And Deontay Johnson, thank you. And a man who's been with me for a long time, and he's never asked me for a thing. Bruce, thank you very much. Bruce Lavelle, thank you very much. I wasn't sure if they had your name down here, Bruce. I was going to mention you anyway, okay? But they had your name. They did a job, finally. They always leave a lot of names out, and that bothers me. Like I see Scott Bessent, his name was left out. First time ever. Look at Scott. I'm looking for his name. I'm looking for his name. I said, I bet he's the greatest Treasury Secretary we've ever had. I think how's the economy doing, Scott? Good? The best. It's really, people are going to see, and watch the State of the Union. We're going to be talking about the economy. We inherited a mess, and now we have prices way down. We have energy way down. Gasoline is now breaking $2 a gallon in many places, and it's been actually amazing, but Scott's fantastic. I don't want to forget to mention him. I'd be in big trouble. All of a sudden, the economy would turn bad on us. I'd say, what happened? It was Scott. Thank you, Scott. And Secretary Lori Chavez DeReamer. Lori, thank you very much for your Secretary of Labor. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Diller. How are you doing? How are you doing with Harvard? How are you doing with Harvard? You know, Harvard's extremely discriminatory, unfortunately, and it's working good. Harmeet is on their trail, right? Good, good. You keep suing them. The hell with them. I like the historically black colleges and universities, which I saved. Leo 2.0 said it, but which I saved. We saved them. They had no funding, and every year they'd come back, and I got to know some of the heads, and every year they'd come back, and after my third year, first term, I said, you guys keep coming back. Why do you keep coming back? He said, we have to come back every year. For years and years, they had to come back, and one of them said, one of the heads, a great guy, said, they make us feel like beggars. We have to come back. I said, I'm going to get you long-term financing, and I got it for them, and I said, the only bad thing, I'll never see you guys again. I haven't seen too many of them. But we took care of the historically black colleges and universities, right? And it was a great thing to do. And so many others are in the audience that are just friends of mine. I look at them, so many. But if I introduce all of you, we're going to be here a long time, and that's unacceptable. Not only are we celebrating the century of Black History Month, also, as you know, this year we'll also be celebrating the 250th anniversary of our nation's founding. And the good thing, when they cheated on the election, they made me wait 4 years, and because I waited 4 years, I get the 250th year. I get the Olympics, which I was the one that got it, and I get the World Cup. So I got the World Cup, and I said, you know, it's too bad before all this nonsense took place. I said, it's too bad. I got the World Cup to come here. Johnny, another Johnny, we got the World Cup. It was fantastic, the head of it, one of the great people. And I said, the only bad part is I won't be in office because my 4 years will be up. This would have been the more traditional route. And then they cheated on the election. And I said, now we won by so much. We won by millions of votes, but they cheated. It was during a COVID period, and they cheated. And we did it again, and we made it too big to rig, too big to rig. And by doing that, I ended up getting the Olympics. Because we were responsible for both of them. And we're going to have a great year, but we're going to have a great 3 years. We're going to have hopefully we're going to have a great century, because that's ultimately what it is. We'll get it started. But as we honor America's 250, and I can't say that I got the 250. I tried doing that a couple of times, Bruce. I said, I got the Olympics, I got the World Cup, and I got the 250th year. They said, you didn't do that. I said, you're right about that. I didn't do 250. We happened to be here at the right time. That's all that was. But we thank God for the strength and courage and grit and devotion of black Americans who have helped make America the most powerful country in the history of the world we now have. And you saw that with our attack a few weeks ago on Venezuela. We have the greatest military in the world. We make the greatest equipment in the world. There's nobody even close. Nearly 10,000 African Americans fought for the patriot cause in the Revolutionary War. Did you know that? 10,000, and it's actually a number even, I've heard even higher than that, helping secure our independence in every generation since, from the Buffalo Soldiers to the Tuskegee Airmen. Black Americans have stepped forward to defend the flag and to defend our country like few others, really, like few others. And you've never really been given the recognition that you should get for that. You know that, Ben? They never, I don't think a lot of people have given the kind of recognition, but everyone knows all about the Tuskegee Airmen. They were great and amazing. The Buffalo Soldiers, do you know the Buffalo Soldiers? Good stuff, right? From jazz to the blues, that you know, that you do get recognition for. Jazz, the blues, from rock and roll to rap, black artists like Chuck Berry, Muddy Waters. How about Nicki Minaj? Do we love Nicki Minaj? Right? I love Nicki Minaj. She was here a couple of weeks ago. She's so beautiful. Her skin's so beautiful. I said, Nicki is so beautiful. Her nails are like that long. I said, Nicki, are they real? She said, she didn't want to get into that. But she was so beautiful and so great, and she gets it, you know, more importantly, frankly, she gets it. But black leaders from Frederick Douglass to Martin Luther King, right, little relative over here, have made our country freer, and really what they've really done is made life more just. And black athletes have inspired billions around the globe, from Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard also, by the way, great, what a great fighter. Muhammad Ali, who was a friend of mine. I put a picture of myself and Muhammad. It was another piece of work. You talk about a piece of work. But he could fight, couldn't he, huh? Mike Tyson, boy, I tell you, Mike has been loyal to me. Whenever they come out, they say, Trump's a racist. You know, it's like a statement. Trump's a racist. Mike Tyson goes, he's not a racist. He's my friend. He's been there from the beginning, good times and bad. But Mike Tyson's a great guy, and he was so loyal, always been loyal. And Herschel Walker, speaking about loyal, how good a football player was Herschel? Herschel Walker, now he's ambassador to the Bahamas. I don't know, Bahamas, Bermuda, is he Bahamas, whatever. It's nice, a nice place. You'd like that, Bruce, wouldn't you? Bruce wants it. And a guy I became really, he liked Trump, Jim Brown. He was tough. He'd come in, he was very silent. He was silent but deadly. He'd come in and he'd look at people, and if he didn't like them, he'd just look at me and he'd go, no good. He'd want to rip their heart out. I would say there can't be a greater football player than Jim Brown. By the way, Lawrence Taylor, great friend. The great Lawrence Taylor, the greatest defensive player probably in the history of football. He's a great friend of mine. But I'm longer off the tee than him. You know why? Because I take the club back further. He takes the club back this far, and he hits it 200 yards. When you can do that, you're strong. He is a great guy, I'll tell you that. And all of this is a part of the legacy that we celebrate on July 4th, 2026, because Black History Month is really all about American history. And this is a big year. This is a big year for you. During my first term, I was honored to deliver unprecedented victories for Black Americans and all Americans, frankly. But Black Americans, I single-handedly secured record long-term funding for. I told you, the historically Black colleges and universities. I created nearly 9,000 opportunity zones with our great secretary. And also, I think we have to do, and as I said before, Tim Scott really, he came to me with that idea, and we put it into use, right, Scott? And I signed historic criminal justice reform into law. We got criminal justice reform. Just so you know, for 30 years, you, more than any other group of people, has been trying to get criminal justice reform, and they couldn't do it. And a group of people came to my office, and they asked me to do it. They couldn't get it. They needed 5 conservative votes in the Senate, and conservative was 5 conservative white votes in the Senate. And of the 5, all 5 of them were totally against, and I called them up, and they were great. They were great. And one of them was Senator John Kennedy, to be honest with you. He was not in favor of it, and I spoke to him, and he was 100%. He's a great senator, a great guy, and you know that he was a tremendous help. So we got criminal justice reform done and approved, and nobody thought it could be done. And it's no wonder that in 2024 we won more African-American votes than any Republican presidential candidate in history. And just over 1 year ago, we had a dead country. We were a dead country. Scott just said it. We were dead as a doornail. We had an idiot as a president. We had a man that was not a president. Number one, he didn't win the election. He was not a president. Yeah, right. He was a real beauty, wasn't he? He allowed 25 million people into our country. Many of them should not have been here. And we've done. Now we have, by the way, we went from the worst border in history to the best, by far, the best border in history. But I had the support of many people, Bruce. I had the support of many people in this room, and we've got right now the hottest country anywhere in the world. King of Saudi Arabia told me that. He said, you were a dead country a year and a half ago. Now you're the hottest country. We're the hottest country right now anywhere in the world. And you're a big part of it. And you're a big beneficiary. I tell you what, take a look at your 401ks. Has anybody got a 401k that's lower than it was? Better put your hand down. Lower than it was a year ago? They're double. I mean, they are through the roof. The stock market has hit 53 all-time record highs since the election. And earlier this month, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose above 50,000 for the first time ever. Right, Scott? First time ever. And also, you know, they don't talk about this. The S&P broke 7,000. So when I got elected, they said, for the S&P to break 7,000 within 4 years would be a great achievement for the president. And for the Dow Jones to break 50,000 would be a great thing, but it's not possible. They were talking about in 4 years. Scott, they said in 4 years it would not be possible to break 50,000 or 7,000 under these two very important, call them a metrics. And you know what happened? We broke it before the end of my first year. So, right? So we did something. So they said we couldn't do it in 4 years. We did it in 1 year. More Americans are working today than at any time in American history. So we have more Americans right now working than at any time. And you know, when I say this stuff, I get the fake news back there, a lot of it. Thank you. I agree. Sometimes we have to be very careful because they actually go, and it's not pretty, Leo. We have to get Leo and the DOJ involved. But think of that, Leo, think of that. More Americans are working today than any time in history. And since I took office, African-American employment has increased by 182,000, the highest ever. Jobs. 182,000. Nearly 500,000 black Americans have rejoined the labor force since we took office. 500,000 wages for workers have increased $1,000, $2,000, even $3,000, and even sometimes, in some cases, $5,000 a year. That's faster than inflation. So wages have gone up at a much faster clip than inflation. We took over the worst inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years or 49 years. I said that, you know, I said inflation under Biden has went up more than at any time in the history of our country. They said, he's not right about that. It's 49 years. I said, all right, I'll accept that too. Actually, I think it sounds worse, Harmeet. I think for some reason, because when you say the worst ever, but when you say the worst in 49 years, I'll take that, right? The fake news got me in that one. I think I was right, by the way, but I'll accept 48 or 49 years. But for the first time in many years, 100% of all net job creation is going to American-born citizens. Think of that, 100%. And in the last administration, it was going mostly to illegal aliens that came in, many of them murderers and others. Last summer, we passed the largest working-class tax cuts in the history of our country. That includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. And you're going to see that. You know, it just kicked in on January 1st. You're going to see tremendous results, and they're already seeing it. And I think we're going to have GDPs. We're going to have numbers that nobody's ever seen before, Scott. Joining us this afternoon, and really somebody that is fantastic, Annetta Bradford. In 2019, Annetta and her husband opened an incredibly successful coffee shop in Arkansas named Hebrews 11:1. That's an interesting name. No one thinks that the no tax on tips matters. Well, it does matter, and it mattered a lot to Annetta. And she was able to grow her business just in a short period of time and hired more employees. And she's making a fortune. I'd like you to give some of the people in that room some of that money, Annetta. You should make it a lot. Annetta, come in. Arnetta, come. Where are you? Arnetta, come on up here, Arnetta. Come on up. Hi, darling. Let me move that down.
I can't do anything first but say to God be the glory. Amen. I have no business being here other than him having me here. And so, yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to preach. I'm going to settle myself. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me here. It's such an honor to be here today. Hebrews 11:1. People ask me all the time, why did I even open a business? Why did I even call it Hebrews 11:1? Hebrews 11:1 is my very favorite scripture. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That scripture has walked with me. It has grown me from a little girl on up. Not having no longer my mother here, no longer having my father here. My husband not having his mother and his father here. We opened Hebrews 11:1 with no funding, no money, no big family investors, no business loans, didn't have great credit. It was us and faith in God. That was 7 years ago. But I ran that business with just myself and one employee. Then here comes no tax on tips. I was able to hire 7 more employees just by what she did. Not only that, I was able to open a second location on our college campus. Things are just going off simply because having now faith. And so I love the fact of that scripture. Now, I say all of that I'm trying to stick to my little written down thing that I wrote. I don't know how to do that so well. But as a small business owner, I understand how critical support is. I understand that you have to have the right people that make the right policies for us as small business owners. So no tax on tips has been an extremely blessing for me and my business. Not just mine, but I know so many people across the country. I know a lot of us don't want to talk about the good part of it. We only want to share the negative, but I'm here today to tell you you've done a great thing. Thank you for just loving on us and showing us that even in small town Hope, Arkansas, and I have got to say this, I have the best governor in the world. I don't only just call Sarah my friend, I call her my sister. And so that's why I am here today to just tell you that no tax on tips has been an amazing blessing for me. President Trump has been an amazing blessing for me. And at the end of the day, Jesus has been an amazing blessing for me. I love you guys and thank you so much because I am a youth pastor, but I will not preach on today. I love y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good job. Good job, huh? So thank you very much, Arnetta. And we can't provide opportunity for the next generation if we do not also have a thing called law and order. We need law and order. You know, Washington, D.C. is amazing. It was a crime capital. It was a horror show. A year ago, it was really dangerous, and now it's one of the safest cities anywhere in the country. And we're in Memphis, Tennessee now, where it's like a different world. In 4 months, we've made it safe. We're in Louisiana, as you know, or lots of other places, and we have the lowest crime numbers that we've had in many years. We have the lowest murder numbers in 125 years, since 1900. And that's despite the fact that a lot of people are here, but those people have been taken out. Lots of them have been taken out. That's why we stopped the invasion at the southern border. And just 1 year ago, and think of this, 1 year ago, we had the absolute worst border that we've ever had, and now we have the safest border that we've ever had. So it's going to be really something. 125 years ago, that's before my father was born. I had a wonderful father, but that was before. So we have murders are down from 125 years. We had the best numbers. When you think about it, that's pretty incredible. And those numbers are made up by Democrats. Can you believe it? They don't want to give me those numbers. They can add a couple of people here and there. But I've also deployed the National Guard to bring back safety to Memphis and to New Orleans and Washington. And the National Guard has been incredible, and people are safe. In the case of Washington, the restaurants were all closing up. People were getting really badly hurt and killed, frankly, many people killed. And now you can walk down the street and you have nothing to fear. We have one of the safest cities in the world, and it happened very fast, Bruce. One of those who knows the importance of this mission is Felicia Cook, a lifelong Washingtonian who tragically lost her grandson to violence in 2017. Felicia, we're so sorry, and you are a spectacular person. If you could say a few words, please. Thank you very much. Yes, come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, help her up. We don't want any mistakes. Come on in. Thank you. Yes, you can. Thank you, darling. That's so nice. Thank you. I like her. Please.
I like him too. One thing I like about him, he keeps it real just like Grandma. I appreciate that because I can trust him because he tells exactly how he feels and what he thinks. Thank God for this president. I am filled, my cup runneth over. Because he allowed his constituents, his people to come to my house to interview me, to talk about the murder of my grandson. It seemed like nobody cared. I'm an advocate for murder. I marched, I rallied, I pulled out other families in the District of Columbia that had murders and did not have answers. Ooh. We marched and we rallied, and nobody heard me, Democrats. Get mad at me. Until this Republican sent his constituents, his people out there to interview me in my home. Have you ever heard of a thing? Then they invited me twice before Congress to testify for the beautiful bill that's going to change crime in the district. If you kill somebody, okay, you take a life, you do life. Just that simple. If you do a harsh crime, you do harsh time. Just that simple. And then we need National Guard, and which we did years ago. He brought it on. I love him. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about that racist stuff. And don't be looking at me on the news hating on me because I'm standing up for somebody that deserves to be standing up for. Get off the man's back. Let him do his job. He's doing the right thing. Back up off of him. And Grandma said it.
Wow, that's pretty good. When is she running for office? Felicia, when are you running for office, please? You have my endorsement. You have my endorsement, Felicia. Thank you, darling. That's great. What a great, and it's from the heart. Your little baby, right, was just so horribly taken from you. Under the Trump administration, we believe that no community should be abandoned to the scourge of violent crime, and we're saving thousands and thousands of lives in many cities. And frankly, if these radical left lunatic Democrats would come and say, please help us, please, we'd stop crimes all over the place. And we're doing it in a lot of cities. Sometimes we have to force ourselves upon them because they're so bad. And I don't even think they realize what's happening to their cities and their towns. But every town that we go in, every city that we go in, like Washington, Felicia, you feel much safer now, totally safe. You can walk to a restaurant. The restaurants were all closing. Now you can't get a restaurant. The bad news is you can't get into a restaurant. But it's a great thing to see what's happening in Washington. It's like it's a hot place, and hopefully people will be coming in record numbers. And it's been, well, I know we need a little help. You need help in Atlanta. He just said, you're right, Atlanta, we could take care of Atlanta. I'll tell you what, you ought to get them to call me. We could take care of Atlanta so fast. They don't want to call. They don't want to call because they don't want to admit it, and they'll never fix it themselves. Don't forget, we move people out. We don't just go in and, be tough guys. We move people out. We take career criminals, and we get them out, we bring them back to the country from where they came. And think of it, 90% of the crime is caused by 2% of the people. Think of it. So when you get the criminals out, you solve a lot of problems. Another way that we're fulfilling our duty to the next generation is the single biggest thing that's happened having to do with schools and education. It's called school choice in our great, big, beautiful bill. Our beautiful bill, which really covers 4 years. We put it all together. That's why we call it the great, big, beautiful bill. This will help millions of African-American children and ensure that no child is condemned to a failing government or a horrible school. And we have a person here who's fantastic on this subject. Greta, would you please come up? Please, Greta, come on up. Thank you. And her beautiful daughter. Thanks, Greta. Thank you very much.
God bless you. Happy to meet you. Well, I ditto, to God be the glory. And we're grateful for our president. He's doing some tremendous work. And I want to remind those that don't know that this was prophesied. So you weren't supposed to have the second term when it came about. This is your season. And God said that it was going to be rough the first 2 years and that things were going to happen. But then the last 2 years are going to be great.
Well, I hope
and
so.
yes, you're going to do some tremendous things. And so for that, we thank you. On behalf of all the mothers all around the world, I'm from Texas. I live in a zip code that I didn't have an opportunity to have a choice to go to school. And so when I raised my children, I wanted a better opportunity for them. And I'm so grateful to ACE scholarships and all the doors that the president is opening for education. My son was in a school that he didn't have any voice, and he found drugs in school. And he died. And so I'm here today to just show my appreciation for all the moms around the world. We have a choice now. This choice is so important to mothers. I have a child that, because I had a choice, she's in private school. She's thriving. She's thriving. She's going to be an anesthesiology nurse, and she's doing great. And ACE scholarships was a big part of that. Changing education changes everything.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Changing education changes everything. In my zip code, it feels like we were locked in a cage and being locked in a cage and can't get out. And because of all of the things that you're doing for education, now we can get out and soar. Our children can have a chance to be prosperous, just like other children. And I thank you for that. This is a great opportunity. So on behalf of all the mothers all around the world, I stand here and I give you your flowers while you can still get them. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Give me a hand.
Thank you, sweetheart.
And this is your.
Look how beautiful. What a beautiful thing. Thank you. Wow, so nice. Thank you very much. Thanks, Greta. So we're calling it end, and I just want to say this is an honor to be here. We celebrate Black History Month. We honor the memory of those who came before us by continuing their legacy and fighting for an American that's really an America that's safe and strong and prosperous. We now have a country that's bigger, better, greater than ever before. I want to thank all my secretaries and all of the people that came here. Our military leaders are here. We have a lot of people that are here, and I want to thank you all. But this is a very special group of people. So happy Black History Month, happy Black History Year, and happy Black History Century. Thank you all. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
And a great event there at the East Room of the White House, and our dear friend Bruce Lavelle on hand, someone who's been in the middle of Atlanta, Georgia business and politics for years and years, a great man. And that room filled with amazing leaders, including Dr. Carson and Secretary Scott Turner, Secretary Besant on hand, as well as this president committed to all of America. All those politicians, as he mentioned years and years ago in New York City, all talk, no action. And that 2016 campaign coming down that golden escalator, taking down two dynasties by the names of Bush and Clinton, who did nothing, quite frankly, for Black America and all of America. This president doing just that, participating in a Black History Month reception and an exciting event there at the White House. Thank you for joining us today at Right Side Broadcasting Network at 4 o'clock this afternoon on the East Coast, 1 o'clock on the West Coast. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow in Rome, Georgia, as President Trump comes into the 14th Congressional District, the Peach State, so crucial to not only steel manufacturing and the middle class and positive populism in Northwest Georgia, but the entire state as a whole for the future of the country. 18 people running that special election. So we look forward to talking to you tomorrow on the ground, the great people, as your election integrity headquarters, your go-to live desk, and, of course, your Trump Rally Network. For all of my colleagues here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, may God bless you on this Ash Wednesday, and we will see you tomorrow when in Rome. It's Rome, Georgia.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.